Toni Kroos, Toni Kroos, Toni Kroos, Toni Kroos. I've heard it said a bunch of different ways. I don't know which is right. Argue amongst yourselves down below in the comments. With that said, let's move on. Now, if you regularly watch and are subscribed to this channel, you probably really like football boots. You might even have an unhealthy obsession. But one thing that I think we can pretty much all agree on is that it's not the boots, it's the player. If you're not a very good player and you go out and buy the latest and greatest, most expensive top-of-the-line football boots, they are not going to make you any better at all. However, that is not to discount the importance of a good pair of football boots. You want them to fit you properly. You want them to be comfortable. You want a certain type of feel, and you want certain performance characteristics that you might like personally. If all of that matches up with what you like and you're comfortable with what you're wearing, that can actually impact your performance in a positive way. When it comes to the football boots that pros wear, it's an interesting topic for sure, but a lot of what big name pros are wearing is down to how much they are being paid to wear those specific products. Plus, you have to take into consideration that a lot of these big names, they're getting custom made boots made specifically for them. So what you see them wearing and what you think they're wearing isn't necessarily the exact same boot that you can actually go and buy in the store. So ultimately, what pros wear is not that important, but it's still very interesting. And in the case of Real Madrid specifically, a team that is not having the greatest season thus far, there is one player in particular that's been kind of a rebel in the football boot industry as a professional player, and that is Toni Kroos, who has been wearing the same custom 11 Pro 2 football boots for basically 4.5 years now. Now, what he actually wears is a variation of this guy right here, the 11 Pro 2. The upper looks to be pretty similar in comparison to this, but I can assure you it's probably made from a nicer quality material. And then of course the sole plate and stud pattern is entirely different from the retail variation, featuring that TRX bladed stud pattern that we used to see from Adidas on pretty much every single model up until about 2010 when Adidas released the F50 Adizero. Fun fact about the Adidas TRX stud pattern, TRX actually stands for traction with an X. You can see the branding right there on the bottom of the sole plate here on this pair of Adidas F50 Pluses. But a lot of people seem to think that the Adidas traction stud pattern is this one specifically. That's not actually the case, because I have here a 2010 F50 Adizero with a completely different stud pattern, and if you look closely at the bottom, it's still branded as traction with an X. So basically all TRX stands for is just a marketing term that Adidas was using at a certain period for their football boots on all their stud patterns. It doesn't really mean anything. Anyways, back on topic, Real Madrid having a slow start to the season, Karim Benzema, one of their strikers, a man expected to score goals, not scoring goals, currently wearing the X18.1 with an Adidas endorsement deal. He is paid to wear this specific boot. All of a sudden shows up to the next match wearing the 2014 F50 Adizero, a pair of boots from 4 years ago. Now, regardless of what your opinion is on how football boots can impact a player's ability to perform, there is no denying that there is, to some people at least, a mental aspect to football boots. Football boots can give you that mental edge. And in the case of Karim Benzema, who obviously feels like he's in some kind of a slump, I can only assume went back to a personal favorite, which now we know is the 2014 F50 Adizero, a time in his career when you could argue he was in his prime, and he's trying to get that form back by wearing the boots that he used to play in. And a lot of people have been asking me, how did he get these 2014 F50 Adizeros? I don't think he went online on eBay and bought them from somebody reselling them. I'm going to assume that this is a pair that he had from 4 years ago that he liked so much that he just never got rid of, and then decided, hey, I'm in a slump, I want to try these out, brought them to the match and decided to wear them. Now for me, not only is this cool because it shows that Benzema is one of those players that while he's being paid to wear Adidas boots, he does like some more than others, or at least feels more comfortable wearing the older ones rather than the newer ones. And something I've always preached on this channel is that the latest and greatest boots aren't necessarily better than the ones that they replace. There have been lots of good boots over the years, and you're not going to be at an advantage wearing the latest boots in the latest colorway. That has pretty much very little to do with overall performance. It matters that you're comfortable, and obviously Benzema feels a little bit more comfortable wearing an older Adidas boot, specifically from 4 years ago, rather than the latest one, or at least it's something that he's giving a try. And I think this is particularly interesting given that he plays for Real Madrid and is always around a player like Toni Kroos, a man who pretty much never changes his boots. He's very stubborn, only wants to wear old stuff, and now he's got other players on the team doing the same. And this is not the only example of this. If we remember back 2 years ago, Isco, who at the time was wearing the current Nike Mercurial Vapor 11, all of a sudden broke out the old Mercurial Vapor 9 and actually had a stint of quite a few good matches in those older boots. Eventually he switched back once he found his form, but I think a part of finding his form was actually switching back to some older boots. Benzema seems to be doing the same, and I can only assume that Toni Kroos is playing some role in these players going back to older boots. I could be wrong, but I just think it's kind of a cool coincidence. And then even looking at a guy like Luka Modric, a man who has probably had the best year of his career, when the Vapor 12 Elite came out, he stuck with the previous generation Vapor 11 for about a month prior to making the switch. Eventually he made that switch and had an incredible World Cup, had an incredible season wearing the Vapor 12 Elite. So obviously the new boot was not the issue, but he didn't make the switch immediately because he didn't immediately feel comfortable performing in that new boot. Again, sometimes older is better, and sometimes players feel more comfortable wearing very specific things. It's cool when pros do this because there is money involved and they are paid to wear the latest products, but when they switch back to boots that they're not necessarily being paid to wear, it gives us a real inside look of what these guys actually like. So for those that make the argument that it's the player, not the boots, I agree with you, but you can't deny that the boots do matter to some extent. We're seeing examples of some of the best players in the world switching from the latest boots to older boots for the sake of improved performance. Anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Hopefully you found it enjoyable. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. I just thought that this was an interesting topic that a lot of you guys had asked me about. It got some traction on Instagram. So I figured I'd make a video talking about this because I can only assume that Toni Kroos, a man who is so stubborn with his boots, has had some impact on the other players he's around as far as wearing older stuff rather than the current gen boots. So let me know what you guys think of this down below in the comments. If you have any questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them down below as well. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. All my social media information is linked down below in the description as well. So if you're not following me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, it's all there. Go ahead and check it out. Other than that though, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.